Don't let anything hurt you. Sounds strong until you realize how much it's been quietly breaking you. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. It's late. Not dramatically late, just that quiet hour where everything slows enough that things start catching up to you. There's a message on your phone you haven't replied to. You've read it 3 times, maybe more. It wasn't even that harsh, not really, just a tone. A sentence that landed slightly off. But it stayed. Why did that bother you this much? Why can't you just let it go like other people seem to? And how many small things like this have you carried today without even realizing it? You tell yourself it's nothing. You always do. You put the phone down, pick it up again, reread it. Like maybe the meaning will change if you look at it differently. It doesn't. So you do what you've learned to do. You tighten slightly, pull back, tell yourself to move on. And from the outside, it works. You function, you respond normally, you keep the tone light, nothing leaks out. But inside, something shifts. A small closing, a quiet distance. Like a door that doesn't slam, it just doesn't open as easily next time. And this isn't new. This is how you've been getting through things for a long time. Not by falling apart, but by staying just controlled enough that nothing looks like it got to you. People admire that. They trust you because of it. They lean on you because you don't seem shaken by much. But there's a cost to that kind of control that no one really sees. Because nothing actually stops hurting, it just gets managed, redirected, contained, pushed somewhere quieter. Until your body starts holding things your mind keeps dismissing. Your chest tightens for no clear reason. You feel tired, even when you've technically rested. Your thoughts loop around things you've already decided don't matter. And still, you tell yourself you're fine. Because what's the alternative? Letting everything hit you fully, feeling every sharp edge without filtering it down. That sounds worse. So you stay where you are, half feeling, half processing, always just enough control to keep things moving. But here's the part that doesn't sit right. If this way of handling things actually worked, why does it still feel so heavy? Why do small things build up so quickly? Why does one comment, one look, one moment sometimes tip something deeper that's been sitting there for years? And why, when everything finally goes quiet, does it all come back at once? And maybe this part feels familiar. Not in a loud way, not something you'd usually say out loud. Just that quiet recognition, like something here has been sitting in you for a while. If that's the case, I'm curious what it's been like for you. Not the polished version, not the version that sounds fine. The real one. You can put it into words, or just say that it's been there. Either way, you're not the only one carrying it like this. And if something in this space feels different, quieter, a little more honest than what you usually come across, then you might want more of it. Not all at once, just over time. Because this kind of clarity doesn't come from one moment. It builds, slowly. So if you want to keep exploring this, to keep coming back to something that actually meets you where you are, subscribe. Not for content, not for noise, but for a space that stays consistent when everything else feels a bit scattered. There are other people here who found this for the same reason you did. Not by accident, just at a point where something needed to be seen differently. So if that's you, stay. Let it build. And say something below if this has been sitting with you too, even if you don't have the words for it yet. There's a moment, usually when you're alone, where the control slips slightly. Not enough to fall apart, just enough to feel what's underneath. And it's not just this moment, it's layered. Old conversations, things you brushed off, things you told yourself you were over. It's all still there, just waiting for space. And when it comes up, it feels overwhelming, not because it's too much, but because it's been held back for too long. So your instinct is to shut it down again. Of course it is. You've trained yourself to do that, to stay composed, to not let things touch you too deeply. But what if that's the part that's quietly keeping you stuck? Not the feeling itself, but the way it gets cut off before it can actually move through you. Because a feeling that's fully seen, fully acknowledged, doesn't need to linger in the same way. It passes, not instantly, but cleanly. What stays is what never got that chance. And over time, that creates something heavier than the original moment ever was. This is where things shift. Not into let everything hurt you, but into something quieter, more precise. You stop trying to block the feeling and start noticing the exact moment it begins. That first reaction, that subtle tightening, that instant interpretation your mind makes before you even question it. That's where your control actually lives. Not in avoiding pain, but in not being carried by the first version of it that shows up. Because that first version isn't always true. It's fast, protective, shaped by everything you've experienced before, but it's not final. And if you don't catch it, it quietly becomes the lens for everything that follows. That's how one small comment turns into a whole shift in your mood. That's how one moment lingers far longer than it should. Not because it was that powerful, but because it was never questioned. So instead of "don't let it hurt you," it becomes something closer to notice it before it becomes everything. Feel it, but don't rush to react to it. Let it exist without immediately building a story around it. That space, even if it's small, changes everything. Because now you're not pushing it down, and you're not being pulled by it either. You're just aware. And awareness doesn't remove pain, but it stops it from spreading into places it doesn't belong. At this point, something else starts to become clear. A lot of what hurt you wasn't just the moment itself, it was the meaning that formed around it, automatically. What it said about you, what it confirmed, what it seemed to prove, without you ever stopping to check if it was actually true. And once that meaning locks in, the feeling follows it, again and again. But meaning can be looked at, questioned, shifted slowly. Not forced into something positive, just seen for what it is. An interpretation, not a fact. And when that loosens, even slightly, the intensity starts to change with it. Not disappear, just soften enough that it doesn't take over. I wonder, when something hits you like that small moment that lingers longer than it should, do you notice the feeling first, or the story that forms around it? Because maybe the goal was never to stop anything from hurting you. Maybe it's learning how to let it pass through without quietly turning it into something heavier than it needed to be. And that thing you keep trying not to feel might not be something you need to avoid, just something you haven't fully seen clearly enough yet. That message, still sitting there, might not be as heavy as it felt at first, but the way it moved through you, that's the part that's still unfolding. And maybe nothing changes straight away. Maybe the same thoughts show up tomorrow, the same reactions, the same weight, in the same places. That doesn't mean this didn't matter. It just means you're noticing it now. And that's where it starts. Not with some sudden shift, not with everything feeling lighter overnight, but with a small moment where you catch it as it happens. And this time, you don't immediately follow it. So if something comes up later, something small that usually pulls you in, just notice it. Not to fix it, not to force it away, just see it clearly. Because that space, That tiny pause between what you feel and what you do next. That's where things begin to change. And maybe that's enough for now. Not everything solved, not everything settled, just a little more awareness than before. Don't let anything hurt you. Maybe it was never about becoming untouchable, just about no longer being moved without seeing it happen. And that part, you're starting to notice.